Evening. Welcome to St. Peter's in Hove. I'm Father Alexander, and welcome to our 140th, I think, step in our walking tour through the Bible. And we've got to the fourth Psalm. We've done all four Psalms of the so far. I'm not going to do every single Psalm, don't worry, but the fourth Psalm has got some beautiful turns of phrase in it, which I particularly like. The fourth Psalm is the one that's used liturgically at evening prayer one of Sundays. It contains the phrase, I will lie down in peace and sleep comes at once. So presumably it's a psalm of somebody who is about to go to bed and who is praying to God. Although, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Again, you have this idea that going to sleep is a rather tricky business, and that therefore we must entrust ourselves to God before we go to sleep so something horrible doesn't happen to us in the night. Though I think that last couplet is rather unconnected with the rest of it. The rest is essentially a weighing up of the two ways of life, which is what we had in the first psalm. In other words, are we going to pursue what we normally call the world, or are we going to pursue the things of God? Here it goes. When I call, answer me, O God of justice. From anguish you released me. Have mercy and hear me. O men, how long will your hearts be closed? Will you love what is futile and seek what is false? It is the Lord who grants favours to those whom he loves. The Lord hears me whenever I call him. Fear him, do not sin. Ponder on your bed and be still. Make justice your sacrifice and trust in the Lord. What can bring us happiness? Many say. Let the light of your face shine on us, O Lord. You put into my heart a greater joy than they have from abundance of corn and new wine. I will lie down in peace, and sleep comes at once. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Actually, the last line, I suppose, is connected to the fact we have a mention of a bed, don't we? Ponder on your bed and be still. But really, this is a contrast between two ways of life. The first way of life is the man who seeks the Lord, the man who seeks to please God in all things. And that is a worthwhile occupation, which brings with it great reward, great and lasting reward. The contrasting way of life is those who rejoice in plenty of corn and new wine, and who have set their hearts on things that don't last, and things that will eventually lead to great disappointment. How long? And the key thing here is contained in the word heart. It's not an appeal to the mind, it's an appeal to the heart. He's not making an intellectual argument, he's making an existential argument. He's saying those who seek worldly possessions, their hearts will be troubled forever, their hearts will never be satisfied. But the person who seeks God, his heart will be satisfied forever. Oh men, how long will your hearts be closed? It's a good question. The heart needs to open itself up to the fullness of human experience, which contains not just experience of this life in the body, but the life of the spirit. And then, how long will your hearts be closed to the life of the spirit? How long will you deny there is such a thing as the spirit? How long will you just see yourself as a human animal rather than somebody who is called to relationship with God? How long, oh man, will you deny that you are, as Karl Rahner said, Gast im Welt? Now, Karl Rahner is one of the greatest theologians of the 20th century. There's no doubt about that. And Karl Rahner invented this phrase, Gast im Welt, usually translated into English as man is spirit in the world. Man is definitely in the world and he's worldly, but he's also spirit. So the human being straddles the border between the world and the world of the spirit, the world of the flesh and the world of the spirit. It's basically what St. Paul says as well. Now, of course, we shouldn't think of the world of the spirit and the world of the flesh as like oil and water, one on top of the other, two distinct layers, like some sort of cake. Rather, they interpenetrate. And the world of the spirit and the world of the flesh are found in every single thing around us. Each has this aspect to it. The world of the spirit and the world of the flesh are abstractions from life. They're found together. So, in other words, go back to that cake, if you remember, the cake contains butter and the cake contains flour and the cake contains egg. You can't separate them out, but you know that they're there. So every time you bite into your cake, you're having a sensation of all three. And similarly, as human beings in the world, we need to be alive to the spiritual dimension of life. Oh, men, how long will your hearts be closed? And will you love what is futile, seek what is false? Now, this is the clue to why the heart is closed. We only close our hearts just like we close our eyes. We can cauterize our heart. We can harden our heart. That's used in another psalm as well, the invitatory psalm. We can harden our heart to the call of God by loving what is futile and seeking what is false, by loving untruth, seeking that which is false, untrue, and loving what's futile. That is to say, loving what is self-defeating. The futile is that which brings us back to square one without getting us anywhere. And the false is that which has no exit, if you like. It's sort of it's a cul-de-sac. It's a road that leads nowhere. So if we do that, eventually we will kill our desire for anything spiritual in life. And we know that this is true. In other words, if we sin again and again and again, we will kill our souls. Now, sin is loving what is futile and seeking what is false. Whereas every good thing has a purpose that leads us on to something else, something better than itself. Every true thing leads us to something better than itself, the transcendent truth, God. But if you just seek what is false and seek what is futile, you will never get anywhere. And the sinner is somebody who, as I say, ends up at square one once again and again and again. And experiences tremendous disappointment. What's hell like? Hell is a massive disappointment. Or as Dorothy L. Sayers so rightly put it, hell is getting your own way forever. And getting your own way forever means basically being trapped in yourself. Whereas, of course, as spirit in the world, Gast im Welt, we are open, again to use a phrase of Karl Rahner, we're open to the transcendent. Every time I look at something, I'm aware that in that something, there is a manifestation of eternal truth. Because that something, after all, was made by God. And that something is God's way of telling me that there is more in heaven and earth than is dreamt of in all your philosophy, Horatio, to quote Shakespeare. Now, so instead of seeking what is false and loving what is untrue, do the opposite. Fear him, do not sin, ponder on your bed, and be still. Now, that doesn't mean, say, stop wiggling, be still. It means be still, be silent. Don't say anything. Tranquilize your mind, still your lips, and contemplate yourself. Contemplate the act of existence, because existence is in fact an act rather than a state. And in the contemplation of the act of existence, you will discover something extraordinary, namely that your existence is lived against the background of eternity. Make justice your sacrifice and trust in the Lord. So those would be the first two steps. To make justice your sacrifice, to do the right thing, do what you owe to other people, and trust in the Lord. What can bring us happiness, many say? Well, they've missed the boat. They're asking, well, what can bring us happiness? Let the light of your face shine on us, O Lord. That's the answer. You have put into my heart, says the psalmist, a greater joy than they have from the abundance of corn and new wine. In other words, these people who've all gone commercial, these people who spend their entire lives seeking profit, you've put into my heart a greater joy than they have from abundance of corn and new wine. Material wealth is not the highest joy. The highest joy is often found without material wealth. The highest joy is actually found in knowing the truth about yourself, the truth about the world, the truth about God. I will lie down in peace, and sleep comes at once. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. In other words, the man who has God has everything. So that is the fourth psalm, a wonderful existential statement of what it means to be a believer. All the very best. Good night. Sleep well.